Hello everyone, my name's Cliff and welcome back to my channel. This is Cliff's Dark Gems. Today I'm going to be doing a book tag, and the cheesy book tag. And this was created by Pick Your Popcorn Culture Poison. And now the creators of this tag told us that we can change and adapt the tag as much as we want, and that's what I've decided to do. So to see what I've done, stay tuned. Okay everyone, so this particular tag, the original tag, is 20 cheeses from around the world and 20 book prompts that go along with those cheeses. Now I've decided to make it a top 10 instead, because I've never heard of most of those cheeses or many of those cheeses, and I've actually added one cheese that was not there that I think could have been there. So I've got 10 instead of 20 prompts, but I will put in the original thing so that you can have a look at the original video, which is pretty awesome. But yeah, I'm just going to do a top 10 cheeses that I enjoy. Okay, in 10th place we have Fromage. Now this was not included. It's a French cheese, and I suppose most people think it's the same thing as Brie, but Fromage is a little bit more subtle, a little bit more creamy, a little bit more lighter, understated than Brie. And so I've decided to choose a book that is kind of dark, but is almost fantasy, magical realism, absolutely beautiful, and that is Ray Bradbury, Dandelion Wine. So yeah, there are dark undertones in the story. It's not a horror, but it's an absolutely gorgeous book, beautifully descriptive, beautiful prose, and a real coming of age story. Excuse me, that's a dog outside barking at someone at the gate. So I'll just hang on a second. Okay, in 9th place we have Pepper Jack. Now this is a book with a spicy kick. It's not readily available in this country, but I have had a taste, and I like a little bit of spicy stuff, not too much anymore. As I'm getting older, I'm not so great with spice anymore. And in addition to that, a lot of my horror reads, I'm not into romance and erotica and spicy novels in general. So I'm choosing a book that's a non-horror, that I read quite a long time ago, that I don't own anymore, and that is Cheddar by Gregory David Roberts, with is supposed to be kind of semi-autobiographical, but we're not going to go there. But it is about a convict who escapes from prison in Australia and runs away to India. Now this is a magical novel. I gave it 5 stars. I don't know if it will hold up as much as when I read it in the past, but it is absolutely phenomenal, and it has a bit of everything. It has a bit of horror. In fact, there are serious trigger warnings for torture, and there's prison scenes that are absolutely horrifying. But there's also a bit of a love story, and it's set in India, and he falls in love, and some of the sex scenes are kind of spicy, and at the time I really enjoyed reading about them. So yeah, that is my number 9 pick. For Pepper Jack is Cheddar. Okay, the 8th cheese is Swiss cheese. It's enjoyable but loaded with holes. So I imagine are plot holes. So I thought of 2 books. The one obvious horror book is that came to mind is Dracula by Bram Stoker. I just wish that this side of thing didn't get kind of faded away. As you can see, and this side is perfect. But yeah, it's a fantastic classic horror. But there are some question marks over some of the scenes. This is not a book I'm going to talk about with the plot holes without spoiling it. Just to say, sometimes I kind of thought, why did that happen? Why did he leave them there? Why did he leave him there, unattended? So there's a number of things throughout the novel that actually made me scratch my head a little bit. So yeah, that's Dracula. The second choice is, surprisingly enough, The Hobbit, and I love this cover. And now there's going to be a bit more J.R.R. Tolkien in this video, but yeah, The Hobbit, the pacing and a lot of the stuff does not seem to add up to The Lord of the Rings in terms of pacing and time, and But as J.R.R. Tolkien pointed out, this was written by Bilbo Baggins, so it's written through his recollection and his point of view, and so I suppose you can be excused for some of the discrepancies between, it's a children's book, between Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. Okay, the next one was a difficult one, and that is Brie, and the thing says book set in France. Now, yeah, Brie, as I said, as opposed to Fromage, is a bit more earthier, it's a bit stronger. I really enjoy it, but it is a different cheese, right, to Fromage. You need to agree with me on this. So anyway, a book set in France, I thought long and hard, and I had to go back to the classics, a book that I read in university, which I absolutely loved, and that is A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. Now this is most definitely my favourite Dickens that I read while I was studying, and the backdrop is French Revolution, and yeah, it is a very intense story, very enjoyable, and kind of unlike a lot of other Dickens works. It really does read, it's I suppose a lot more fast paced, it's a lot more adventurous, and yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. So that's my book set in France, A Tale of Two Cities. Okay, for number 6, extra strong cheddar. Always loved cheddar. It's an old standby, which means basically that it's always going to be great. And now I'm going to choose 2 authors here, and I forgot to mention at the beginning, you can also pick authors as opposed to books. And they're always authors that I can rely on to have a good time. And these 2 particular authors, I've always enjoyed. There's not a book by them that I've not enjoyed. First of all, we've got Ray Bradbury. Okay, this is just one example. I Sing the Body Electric. I'm not sure if I've read this collection yet, but he's read so many short stories, and he writes so beautifully and poetically, and the prose is so gorgeous and delicate, and yeah, there's nothing bad by him ever, and that's why I go with Ray Bradbury for the first one. Right. Second choice is Robert McCammon. I've never had a bad time with this writer. 2 5-stars and 1 4-star, and this is a book I'm desperate to read in the next couple of months. I've got a couple of other of his, so I'm really looking forward to reading more by this author. So yeah, that is Ray Bradbury and Robert McCammon. Okay, number 5 is Goda. I love Goda. Underrated and underappreciated. Not so sure. I really don't know how underrated it is. I actually really love that cheese. Never mind, let's go with that. Now there's a non-horror and a horror book I'm going to point out here. The non-horror, and this might be a surprise, but it's good to point out some books to you folk who, and you know that I love darker stuff. But this particular author, there are 2 books that I've read that are absolutely phenomenal. One is Lust for Life by Irving Stone, and the other one was The Agony and the Ecstasy. Now the Lust for Life is a tale about Vincent van Gogh, and The Agony and the Ecstasy about the life of Michelangelo, the Sistine Chapel. Now yeah, I was absolutely enthralled by these books, and I think everyone, even people that do not read classics, because this is not underrated or in any way by the classic community. I'm sure it's very popular, but by us people that like to read horror and fantasy and so on, give this book a try. You might love it. Second of all, we have my one and only Stephen King, and it's Stephen King that I've never mentioned. That's because it is non-fiction and it is flippin' brilliant. Give it a read, you'll be very surprised. And that is Stephen King on writing. And now there are many Stephen King fans who will put this in their top 10, maybe even in their top 5. It is phenomenal. He talks about the art of writing, and he gives hints and tips and tricks and all sorts of things. Yeah, this is a phenomenal book on writing. Okay, my 4th favourite cheese is Parmesan. It gets better with age. Now, I've got a glorious collection here. This is a timeless classic, and I'm sorry, people are always going to read this, they're going to love this, and they're going to talk about this, and I've got a beautiful collection here. First is The Fellowship of the Ring by J.R.R. Tolkien, and second is Two Towers by J.R.R. Tolkien. And finally, beautiful covers. We had The Return of the King by J.R.R. Tolkien. Now, I'm sorry, The Lord of the Rings is forever going to be a classic. It's never going to age. People are never going to stop reading it. It's always going to be a wonderful fantasy classic. My third favourite cheese is halloumi. I absolutely love this cheese. And the prompt here is small, but packs a punch. Now, I'm going to talk about a book that I'm going to review on Thursday. That really does pack a punch, and it blew me away, and it's 5 stars, and it's very, very, very short. And that is The Willows by Algernon Blackwood. And just recently, before this, I read Wendigo by the same author, very short as well. But The Willows really blew me away. I don't really want to talk about it right now because I want to give a proper review. But yeah, it is basically these two men that go out in a canoe, and they're kind of going on this tour, on a canoe, and they're going through this wilderness, the wild, and strange and weird things start to happen. But really, it just hit me, and I'm not going to talk about it now. Really, it was such a powerful experience for me. And I'll tell you why on Thursday. That is The Willows by Algernon Blackwood. Next up we have mozzarella. It's complex, but it holds things together. Now, the reason this is my second favourite cheese is because I enjoy pizza. And to have mozzarella on pizza is the best thing ever. Especially Italian pizza with mozzarella. And so what I've chosen here, I could have chosen a lot of Stephen King books. Very complex, full of characters, full of situations, and he just ties them all up so well, like The Stand and It and so on. But I'm going to go with something different, a book that I did review much earlier in the year, and that is Perdido Street Station by China Mabel. I absolutely love this book, and it's a blend of science fiction, fantasy, horror, steampunk, all sorts of things. There's a range of different weird and wonderful characters. The city is a character in itself, and yeah, this is my choice for this particular one, Perdido Street Station. Okay, my favourite cheese ever. I can eat it all the time. And I especially like it with avo. I especially like it on pizza. Anytime, in a salad, it is my favourite cheese, and that is Feta. Now, this is supposed to be a salty character. Okay, so, a salty character meaning a character that is unlikable, that you don't really relate to. Although, in this particular case, I absolutely love this fantasy series, and I relate to the character. Well, I relate to him. He's a bit of an idiot, a bit of a bastard sometimes. But I love the series. And I'm talking about Thomas Covenant. Thomas Covenant from the Chronicles of Thomas Covenant the Unbeliever. There are 2 chronicles. Second chronicle, and no, there's a third one as well. And it is a phenomenal fantasy epic. And it's not spoken enough about. And it gets very dark as well, and there are a lot of trigger warnings, and as fantasy goes, this was one that I grew up on, and yeah, absolutely adore this fantasy epic. So I'm going to go with Thomas Covenant. He's a pain in the arse. Okay everyone, that's my tag for Tag Tuesday, the cheesy book tag. I know there were 20 prompts, but thank you so much, Pick Your Pop Culture Poison, for tagging me. I hope you enjoyed my little adaptation and my responses. But yeah, tell me what you guys think in the comments down below. Yeah, if you like my channel, please be sure to like and subscribe. And keep those pages turning. Take care of yourselves. Till next time. Cheers.